Hello, welcome to Perek Bet of Megillat Rut. Let's dive right in. Perek Bet focuses on one of two major problems we have in Megillat Rut that were introduced in Perek Aleph. The first problem is there's no men, there's no husbands, there's no sons. That means no future, no one to carry on the family name. But the more pressing problem right now is no men, no husbands, no sons also means no food, no one to harvest for them, no one to work a field, and so no food means no livelihood right now. And that is the much more pressing problem that Ruth goes to deal with. What we are going to find out later on, spoilers, is that Boaz will be the answer to both these things. So Perek Bet starts by introducing us to Boaz. Boaz is introduced both as a kinsman to Elimelech, which in itself is not so positive, as Elimelech is not so positive in our Megillah. But he's also introduced as an Ish Gibor Chayil. These are words that are used to describe Shoftim, judges, in Sefer Shmot. They are overwhelmingly positive words. And the picture of positivity doesn't end there. The first time we meet Boaz is when he's coming back to his field, and the first thing he does is greet his worker by saying Hashem imachem, which could either be interpreted as Hashem be with you, right, as a nice greeting, or as the Midrash tells us to interpret it, he's actually asking a question. Hashem imachem, is Hashem with you? Are you following the laws that the Torah set out, the laws of the field, which involve Truma to Masra, but also very importantly involve the gifts to the poor, properly giving gifts to the poor. And Boaz is answered by the term Deracheha Hashem. Hashem should bless you. As indeed we see that Boaz is a very blessed person, perhaps because of these interactions that he has. Now, then we see Boaz asking about Ruth. And Rashi immediately goes, wait a second, does Boaz walk around asking about women? That's not such a comfortable thing, a little bit creepy. And Rashi says, no, he doesn't. That's not a norm. But he noticed something about Ruth. He noticed her modesty. Now, Ibn Ezra says, Rashi, that's very nice that he brought the Midrash, but I personally think that maybe he noticed something else about Ruth. Perhaps he noticed that she looked different because she dressed differently. The clothes from Moab were maybe very different from the clothes they used to wear in Beit Lechem. Or perhaps she acted differently. She had different customs. And it seems that Ruth really is treated by people that she meets differently. And we're given this picture both by the fact that it seems that she doesn't necessarily find a place in the field so quickly. And there are a few little hints to this around the parak. I'll give you one or two. You can pick up the other ones later yourself. The first hint to this is the beginning of Pasuk Gimel, which tells us Vayelech, Vatelech, Vatavo, she goes and she comes. Meaning, it's not so easy for her. She's walking around trying to find a field until finally, Vayikar Migraha, she happens upon Boaz's field. And the second is, when Boaz asks about Ruth, the Na'ar says, oh, her? She's been here since the morning, standing around. He doesn't say she's been gathering. Perhaps because she hasn't been given permission to gather. Maybe she thinks she needs it and she doesn't. Or maybe the custom was that you did get permission then beforehand. Whatever reason, it doesn't seem that Ruth has been gathering any food yet. And then he says she's going to go home soon. Zeshivta habayita ma'at. It's interpreted by different people different ways, but it clearly could mean she's going to go home soon. Now, she's going to go home soon is very strange because we're about to find out they haven't even had lunch yet. So maybe she's going to go home because she hasn't been able to gather yet. And so Boaz goes over to Ruth and he immediately tells her, I heard, do not go, my daughter, to gather in another field. Don't leave here. Rather stick to my girls and go gather in the field whenever you want. And tziviti l'na'arai, I have commanded my servants not to touch you. Why not to touch you? Because perhaps she's been harassed until now. And we see those pictures a little later on also. And Boaz says, gather here. No one's going to touch you. And also if you want water, go take water. Feel free. And Ruth, immediately what does she do? Pasuk Yod, vatipol apana. She falls on her face. She bows down to the floor to him. Why? And she says, why have I found favor in your eyes that you lahakireni, that you acknowledge me, that you recognize me? Vanochi nochriya. I am foreign. These words lahakireni, nochri, which sound so similar and yet mean such opposite things. You recognize me, but I am foreign. I am a stranger. Boaz is the first person to recognize Ruth, and he tells her why. Well, how does he recognize her? Because he heard. In Pasuk Yud Aleph, he says, he heard of everything that she did with her mother-in-law, that she left After her husband died, she left her father and her mother and the land that she was born in Eretz Moladetech. Sounds a lot like the journey that Avraham made. And she went to a people that she did not know from beforehand. So Boaz immediately, in one pasuk, manages to capture the essence of the root that we've seen until today. She left everything to go with her mother-in-law, to follow her. And then he gives her a blessing, that Hashem should repay her, because she has come to rest in Hashem's wings. An aspect for Hashem's Shechina, an imagery that's used when Bnei Israel leave Mitzrayim and they're on their way to Har Sinai. And Boaz gives Ruth this beautiful blessing, and then continues kindness upon her. And you can look at all the different kindnesses that Boaz does for Ruth. But the reason why he gives her this kindness is not because she's beautiful. We're not told that she's beautiful. It's not because she's smart. It's because she's kind, because she does chesed. And Boaz himself is also a person of kindness. And so as much as the interaction between them is not labeled with any chemistry, it's not Yaakov and Rachel when they first meet, but rather it's a connection based on similar values, on the values of kindness, on the values of recognizing Hashem and putting people and Hashem foremost in everything that you do. Enjoy your learning. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight to Perek Bet, and please stay with us for Perek Bet next week.